En we zijn live. Welcome op definitely different conversations. Oh, I was talking in Dutch. I'm so sorry. So we're live, and I am inviting Yasodhara Romero Fernandes to have a conversation on bodies. And no one is alive or no one is on live yet. So I'm waiting till Yaso is on so I can invite her. Yes, Yasodhara is watching, so I can invite you now. Yes, yes. Yasodhara is joining.
Hi.
Hello, good morning or good afternoon? Good
It's on the
afternoon because
verge.
it's noon. That's right. It
Afternoon.
was 12
It's noon.
o'clock.
Good noon.
Yeah. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Great. You might hear the dog barking. Is it annoying or is it okay? Because I
No,
can
it's
always
not.
go inside.
No,
Okay,
it's
cool.
fine.
Um, Hello, we have people joining. How does it get any better than
Yes.
that?
Hi,
So,
everybody.
let me introduce Yasodhara, who I know from Belgium. So we both speak the same language, Dutch. And I know Yaso now quite a few years now, and I've seen her grown as a facilitator and seen her grown into like talking to bodies. And I'm trying to give the right words to introduce you because it's like one of the things that I've always really noticed is the longer I know you, the more my body gets happier being around you. And our conversations always end up somewhere where it's like wonder and a question and an invitation. And I'm always like, I always have more space and more possibilities. And I'm like, huh, oh, okay. So, and now you're facilitating 3-day body classes, because I had already the pleasure to come to your when you were doing 1-day body classes.
Yeah.
And again, like, love your questions, love your way where you're always looking for a greater possibility, not only for you, but for everybody else. And yeah, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for this introduction. Yeah. And isn't that what we
Hello. Yeah.
actually all be like? This walking, talking, different possibilities.
Well, I have to say, yes, we can, and not everyone is like aware of that. And you're definitely one of those people who are like always going for that, which is so different. It was just so different from most people.
Yeah, and it wasn't always like
And
that. It's really like for me also like a constant learning curve into acknowledging like, wow, how often do we think we're messed up? Because
yes,
some things have
yes.
not been working, but we've actually never been asked to look at what was right about what wasn't working. And we've
Yes.
only started looking at some situations or at things that weren't working as like, oh my God, how can I fix this as quick as possible? And meanwhile, also having like, how often do we have this knowing and this urge? Because we know it's possible to change it, but the angle from where we are actually invited to look at is like that thing, like it's not working. So that's like the big thing you keep seeing. And what I love, what Access Consciousness has actually brought me is this thing like, hey, just come stand over here and just basically move yourself to look from another angle. And then it's like, oh, wait a minute. And things just change.
Yes, looking at from a different angle, because that's one of the things that I used to have before the tools where I was always frustrated. Like I had a lot of anger in me and frustrated and like sort of like you want something different, but you just don't know how to go with it. Like
Yes.
So is it like for anybody who is in that place, how do you start? How do you start?
Well, basically, for me, when I'm kind of stuck, because it's not even like, what if the final point of view is not even like to find a place where you're never stuck again, but just knowing like, okay, there is somewhere a question I can ask to actually move my ass out out of the one-way street here. And basically, when I'm stuck, I will just ask like, okay, so who or what can show me a different possibility? And then I will basically like
Oh,
really like let it go. Because what if it's not our job to figure out how, what, when, where? But what if our
oh,
only task is actually to ask the question and to acknowledge, like, hey, I'm really lost here. I don't get this. Universe, who or what? Who or what can show me a different possibility? And that's the thing where I started seeing how often when something was not working with my body or with something else, I still asked like, okay, who can fix this? Which brought me people that like were able to fix it. But what if it's not a problem? It might keep coming back. So the moment I start actually tweaking that question into who or what can show me a different possibility here, the dog agrees. I actually started moving and I started like creating a space for different people to come into my life.
so what happened then when what happened? What changed for you when with asking those questions and those other people that were not trying to fix you? What happened for you? For
Well,
people
I
that are
started,
very new with questions
yeah,
that have
what I
like,
started,
yeah.
what I started noticing was like the last time I had it must have been like in September, so that's half a year ago, and my back actually completed like completely blocked. And oh, I'm used to work with translators, so now I'm gonna wait for you to translate. It's not necessary.
It's all in
And
English.
so I booked a session with with a facilitator, and while he was working on me, I started noticing things moving in my body, and my body showing me actually something different that I didn't know yet. And I was like, oh, how much is my body creating stuff to actually move me on the path that I've been asking for? So that was one of the things
Wow.
that I started noticing, like, oh my gosh, wow. So, okay, even though this feels very wrong and it hurts as hell, is my body still trying to contribute to me learning things about us, finding out, like having a different conversation?
So
So, which is
basically like your body is like your partner and showing you the way.
well, what would change for whoop. What would change for everybody? Like when you're looking, what would change if you would start considering your body as a dance partner? And sometimes a dance partner, like you've got these moments with a dance partner where you'll take over the lead. But then you'll have these dancing occasions where actually you taking control is just stopping everything. And then just
Yeah.
asking, what else can I be here? Might allow your dance partner, in this case your body, to start showing you a different rhythm or a different swing.
Wow.
And I love this. It's definitely a different conversation here. I've never had this
Yeah.
one. I love it.
Yes, this is what I've noticed before where I was, when like kids, like these toddlers, they draw people with heads and just like legs and arms. There's no body. And we call it like in Dutch a kopvoeter, which is like a head footer, which is so what describes most people. Like you're constantly in your head and you're constantly like forcing what you're going to eat, forcing what you're going to do, and your body is nowhere near in the
In the competition.
conversation and in your
Yeah.
dance, in your dance together. And I've noticed for me personally, when I came here to Bali, it was already changing. I can't force anything anymore. Like I literally, my body doesn't allow me to do force anymore.
Yeah.
And it's like,
And I
no,
so
no,
wonder
no.
when you say that, how much is it also the earth that is actually not allowing you to force yourself? Because
Yeah.
there also how much of our bodies are aware of the rhythm of the earth.
Wow.
And are you listening to it?
Yes.
Or how many of us have actually learned to kind of ignore it? But that doesn't mean like if you ignore something, it doesn't mean your body will be aware of it.
Yes.
So how much is the earth actually showing us a different possibility all the time? And if we would start listening to it and listen to that rhythm, you might start swinging your life in a different like in a different motion, I would say, because it's not even direction, but it's more like a motion where even like when I look at it, oh, that's cool. Like how much would that allow actually our being to relax and to expand, and our life to relax and to expand more and more and more, which is really different. The rhythm of the earth never crossed my mind. I thought I was lazy. Well, you have to ask Selena. Maybe you are lazy sometimes.
I actually have to contribute. I can contribute to something to this and with Selena as well, because I came to Bali and I was so, so, so frustrated that I could not create the same way I was creating in Europe. Like I could literally not get things done the way I was doing before. And
Wow.
this piece of the puzzle where like, what if we can go with the earth? Because what if time is a construct, and what if time is an invention, and the way that we construct our days with the time is actually not real. It's like constantly like forcing our stuff on, I don't even know on what you're forcing it on, but it's like, and that what you say, going with the rhythm of the earth. Do you actually have like some, how do people, I had Bali helping me. So for people who are like in their lives right now, is there like anything that you can give them of tools to start tapping into that dance with the earth in their body?
Well, how much are we doing it right now? And it doesn't matter, like, even like if you're in different locations, maybe you can just start asking also the earth to show you the rhythm for everybody who's online. Because it might be different for everyone, like how you notice it. And it's, if here again, like, what if this is an invitation? And thank you so much for inviting me for this talk to actually start being in communion, not only with our bodies, but also with the earth, which is basically our bigger body. For me, it's like just also the joy of starting that dance. And I've like my whole life I thought I was a horrible dancer. I'm very controlling, which sometimes works out kind of fine. And usually just limits possibilities, and it's a thing like there, even there, like how often do we think like we're creating possibilities because it's still like it's still moving, but then again, how much are we limiting if we are not being control but doing control? So you force
Wow.
a rhythm on top of something instead of asking a question and knowing and acknowledging that everything has a rhythm. Your business has a rhythm. The earth has a
Wow.
rhythm.
Yeah.
Your
Yeah.
body has a rhythm. Everybody has a rhythm. And if you start asking for that rhythm, something I love, my body screamed to death. Yes, don't do it. What I love when I work on bodies is basically in my head asking the body, like, hey, can you show me your rhythm? Because that question for me often unlocks actually the vibrations that a body has, and will show me the possibilities that are available in that moment. And last week I went skiing, or no, last week. And it was so much fun because I had not been on skis for 10 years. We just moved up the mountain and we started just going downhill. And at like the first half an hour, I was a little like annoyed and bored. And I was like, what is this? Because like I've not been on the hill. I've been looking so much forward. What's going on? And then suddenly I got like my body just wanted to go way more quick than I had in mind, because I'm 35 now and I should not fall, because if I fall, I'm like now independent. So who's going to pay for me? And my body was basically like, I don't care.
Wow.
I just want to make speed. At the minute, I just asked my body, like, okay, so how quickly do you want to go? Can you show me? Let's do this, body. Can you show me how you would like to ski? I had the most fun 2 hours like of my week.
Wow.
Yeah, so a rhythm might
Wow.
also be like you need to speed up because you're just making yourself slow. And sometimes it might be like, oh my God, like this is so much expansion. And how often, I'm talking a lot, sorry. How often
That's why
do
you're
we...
here.
Okay, I'm allowed to talk. How often do we actually misidentify expansion with slowness? So the more we get expanded, like are things like really getting slow, or is a rhythm just changing that if we wouldn't have no point of view about if it's slow, if it's quick, but just like be aware of it and then ask, okay, so what's next? What's next? What's next? Things could just keep moving. The energy could keep moving. The businesses could keep moving, even if you're not sitting on top of it and just working on it.
Yes. Well, one of the things that I've also, when you're talking about like slowing, that things are like so slow, is like one of the things that I got being here in Bali is like the Balinese have a very different rhythm and are like not at all like in Europe or like other countries. And it's like, how much are we like aware of the other people's slowness that we actually we tap into, and we want to be just like the Balinese in my case, and you make yourself so slow that you can't get anything done.
And my question to you is like, is it slow? I'm just wondering.
The energy,
Or is it just
it feels
different?
very, it's different. It's different.
And,
It's
and
so
that's like
different.
when you look at dancing and you're gonna dance a slow, which is called a slow because it goes slower. Like, is that
It's
slow or is
different.
that just a different rhythm? And
It's
if we
different.
would have, and I love this, like, because how many times do we actually judge something basically as, oh, that's slow, that's quick, that's fast, but like we don't ask a question, which basically how much is that forcing the molecules to like start slowing down and to solidify? And how much
Yeah.
do we do that with our bodies also? Like we constantly, like most people I've met and like very often still I notice that I'm actually not being the energy of question, but I'm more being the energy of answers and conclusions, which just solidify everything until it sometimes becomes unmovable. Hi, everybody, by the way.
Hi. And what I've noticed is also like you stop receiving anything and everyone that's like that is willing to dance with you.
Yeah, it's basically like
You know, to
creating
stay
a
in the
wall.
conversation of dance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what one of the things I love, like in foundation, in Access Foundation, is like where it's said like walls are only solid because the molecules have been slowed down so much that you cannot go through it. Things in our body, like what if everything that's going on in your body or in your life that's stuck are actually just all the molecules that you've been slowing down so much with thoughts, with feelings, with emotions, with points of views, with expectations, with judgments, that all these molecules don't even know like who they are anymore, how they can move anymore, how they can create for you. And then you're going to start asking questions. How do I change this? How do I change this? How do I change this? And the molecules are like, la, 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 la. I would know, but I'm so solidified right here, I can't even like turn my head.
Wow. Yes. Oh, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes.
So
Definitely. Like, so what do you suggest in situations when you're like so stuck that you have built huge walls around you and you're judging yourself and you're making it even more stuck? What could you do when you're there? What's a
stop making
what's a
yourself wrong. Just observe it for a second, like, and I know very often, like in particular situations, that if I ask for change, like all the stuck points will just become visible. It's not because you ask for change that the change will just be there like right away, or the change will be there right away. But most of the times for me, it's by showing everywhere I'm actually not being that change yet, which shows itself like in all the stuck points like you have created. And there it's just being present. And like a very first tool you can start asking is like, wow, what else is possible? And maybe you'll have to ask that question like a million times. Because what it does, it's basically a question will always de-solidify whatever is not working. So when you just ask in your head, like, okay, so what else is possible? What else is possible? And just like perceive, if you're online watching now, or if you have that question, if you just ask it, maybe you perceive that things already start opening up, or you feel like whatever. And maybe you feel nothing, and that's fine too. But what else is possible? Like, put it in your pocket. And even when you clean your jeans, take it out, put it in your jacket.
what else is possible? Yeah.
Yeah.
What else is
What
possible?
else is possible?
In the meanwhile, I have a
And
few
then you
visitors of
don't have to.
dogs here.
Ah, I love it. And then,
I
even
got
then, you
sidetracked.
don't have to
Sorry.
go look. What else is possible? And they are all there. I love it. Are we up for possibilities? But it's basically
The
there when you
dogs are.
start when you start noticing how much we judge, how much we conclude, how much we look for answers, how much we stop ourselves from dancing the dance of possibilities. And you start asking like, okay, so what else is possible here? You might start perceiving that the music actually, you just turn, what if that's where you turn the music up again in your life? You start turning the music up little by little, by little, by little, by little, by little, till you can hear the beat again. So you can hear your beat again. Or maybe louder, maybe clearer. And you can ask your body, like, okay, so body, can you show me? Can you show me what you know about rhythm? And I've been like playing music also for like a very long time, and I still do. And there's like this meters that you play on. So for example, some pieces are played like a quarter note per 100, which is kind of like a form and structure and time based to get people to move in the same direction at the same moment and in the same beat. And I've always been wondering, like, okay, so there is this thing, but what's the space of that? And for me, it's different every time, although the beat is the same and the rhythm and the speed, but the space from which it comes is so different every time. And the more I ask the music, the more I get awareness on what is available. So the more you'll ask your
So what
body.
exactly do you ask? What do so what give us a couple of I'm really curious, like when you're, and I'm sure you can do this with everything, like with your body,
Yeah,
but when you're like with a song, like, you know, songs talks,
yeah,
um
song do talk.
how do you go with it? Like if you're in
I
your
will
head, like
I will just ask the song, can you show me? Can you show me how you want to be played? And I love this question, and even with people that were a lot in their head, I've used it a lot with students. And it will just create something so different, because that's the space where you start creating with a song. When you ask your business, you will start creating with your business. When you write a book, you will start creating with the book, which is a very different thing than you just moving on and then carrying your body or your book or your song behind you, hoping that it will push you in the right direction. So you can just ask your
It's
body
so
also, like,
peaceful.
can you show me? Right? Yeah. And for some people, sometimes I hear them say like, oh, it sounds so easy, but for me, it's not that easy. Is that a question or is that a conclusion? So everywhere you've made this not ease, maybe because you've been around a lot of people that were not in peace or with ease with their bodies, just start asking like, okay, so what's my reality with all of this? What's my reality with my body?
It's so peaceful.
Right?
I'm out of
What
my
if that
head.
was actually, yeah, what if that was a different way of creating your life from ease and peace, which doesn't mean slow, which can mean slower than you're used to, which might also be like way more quick at some moments. And it's basically there where you can start listen to the dance that's available at all times. And that dance might be different in every project. It might be different every 10 seconds. And if you're willing to actually be with that, you'll start maybe opening up doors that you didn't even knew were available.
You know what came up for me is like how much of that the space the not ease that we're choosing like with a song or with our body is like we are looking into fixing problems, because one of the things that I've noticed being here in Bali is like there's no problem. There's like literally there's no problem to fix. No, there's no problem. And it's like it's so different. It's so different.
Yeah. And that's one of the things I love, and it's so cool because like we start a body class in Brussels tomorrow, and I'm really curious. Like these conversations are probably or might be part of that 3-day class, but it's literally that space. And how often like do we go and create stuff like because like oh there is no problem, so what should I be doing? And it's for me it's a very subtle energy where I start more to recognize it, like when things are actually not going, I'm like, oh, am I creating this to like not make it too easy? Talk about everything that is.
I missed a piece of the conversation. I hope you dropped out a little bit for me. I don't know how it was for other people. We could watch the replay. Sorry,
Yeah.
I missed it. But there's a class coming up tomorrow in Brussels. I got that.
Well, and it was about like how often like that subtle energy where you create shit to actually be busy, and it's so subtle. I notice it still sometimes in my business. Then I create like things that are like and I'm like, okay, am I creating this because I'm so used to actually be busy with solving problems? Oh, we dropped out. Cool. And then you can just ask like, okay, that's interesting. Like, yes, I do, or yes, I don't. Because then you will be able to next time maybe create more ease.
Yes, just like acknowledging it.
Yeah, and see what you're
Yeah.
creating with whatever. What if nothing was ever wrong? Even though sometimes you might see like this is not really creating. Now what? What else is possible?
Yeah.
What other rhythm is available? Wow, I love that. What other rhythm is actually available here?
Universe, show me.
Yeah, what other rhythms are available that I don't know yet, that I've never
Wow.
that I've never experienced and that I've never been dancing on. And it's basically like, you know, this thing when you're like, you have been learning the cha-cha-cha and you've been learning the limbo and you've been learning certain kinds of dances. And then one day there is this kind of new style that comes up and suddenly you feel like your whole world exploding. And it's like, oh my God, wow, I love this kind of dancing. And then, like, what if you can ask for that to show up in your life, like different rhythms, and maybe you'll find some
Makes
really
me
fun
so
things. Ah, yeah.
excited. Wow, this is going to be the what's the what was it again? I'm going to put this above the Facebook Live.
Well, I've got a next question for you. I'm not going to go back, but I'm going to go move forward. Like, how many more rhythms are there actually available there in Bali that you have not perceived yet because you had the point of view that Bali is slow?
I would say that I actually have been perceiving it, but not willing to choose it.
Because there, like, what comes in instantaneous is like how much actually, like, you've got so many rice fields over there and so many, like, the volcanoes, and there is so much different layers in the earth
Waterfalls,
there.
islands. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So what, like, even if you look at one landscape, for me, if I just step into that, like, oh my God, how many rhythms are actually moving through and dancing with each other to create a landscape that we perceive as sometimes so pretty or so intense, or like what else is there? And maybe you'll perceive also in some areas there is the rhythm where a lot of animals are present. The sea has a different energy, has a different rhythm. So I want to know how that's going.
Well, it's already been going really well. Like, if I compare my first week to now, it's so different. Thank God for the tools and and for me for choosing them. Um, yeah, like because I already like there's already like by what you say, like with dancing with the different rhythms here. There's an energy that I've been receiving that's very nurturing and so different from anywhere else in the world. And I've had it when I was here 3 years ago, but it was just different. And now, like, I receive the rhythms so
Yeah.
much more. And what else can I receive and dance with, or
Yeah.
whom,
And it's
or
like yesterday I was pretty tired at a certain moment, and then I just wondered, like, okay, so am I tired, so should I stop working, or am I actually not excited enough to make this work for me? And so I was like, oh my God, like my body, it was as if like the energy in my body was actually slowing down more and more and more. And I was like, wow, what would it take to actually just turn the energy up in my body? And that changed like so much. So
I
there,
like that.
yeah, how much are we slowing ourselves down, and how much rhythms and energies are we refusing to receive, um, that create the dis-ease in our bodies. Which can all be changed just by you asking a question. That's what I like. Like, these tools are so pragmatic and so, yeah. With these classes, I always love it because you just get more awareness about what you know. Every time I take a class, I'm like, wow. When I get back to work, I'm like, oh, I didn't know I knew that. That's cool.
Just for the people who've have never heard of, Yasodhara is talking about the tools of access consciousness, which you can go and explore at accessconsciousness.com. In
Yes,
case you were
they're all
wondering.
over the world. They're all over the world. Many, many, many brilliant people facilitating these tools in all kind of different ways, formulas, and it's just like, for me, it's amazing because it will start to show you, like you watching, what you know, and it will start opening doors if you're willing to open them, with stuff that's available to you. And also with these body processes, like which we talk of, like the body class, I love to run them like as much as possible, because every time I run them, there's a different possibility that gets created. Like not only for me, not only for my body, but I just know something changes in the world, which to me is just like amazing. Lying on a massage table and changing something in the world, holy, holy. Yeah.
Yes.
So are there any questions? I don't
I
know.
can
I
only
cannot
concur. And
see that.
yeah, I will
There's
scroll.
Selena. I love that. Molecules, blah blah.
Don't see any questions yet.
No. No, it's
No
yeah.
questions. And if
There
there
was a
are
lot of information in this
questions,
call.
people, please say them now. This is the moment. This is the time to dance.
This is your beat. This is your cue.
So I guess we
Yeah,
have to wait a little bit.
and yeah. What if the purpose of having a body was actually having fun with your body? Fun with the earth. And yeah.
And like one of the things that one of the questions that I use a lot, and I still use, is like what you told, like said in the beginning, like, can you show me, like, body, can you show me what fun is for you? Because sometimes, how often are we in our heads with what is supposed to be fun, and it's not the same as what fun is for our body. It's like, you know, when you want to have sex with someone, or you want to get a massage with someone, or you want to go out for food or eating or drinking or whatever, like your head has like a point of view of its own. And it's like asking your body, like, hey, can you show me can you show me what's fun, please?
Yes, and then be aware, because bodies, for me, bodies are just like babies. They change every 10 seconds. So they will be like, yes, with that person. And then by the time your coffee is cold, it's like, we're done, bye. But how often do we think like, oh, but we have an appointment with this person, or we're going to actually go on a date with this person. And after the coffee, you keep going, you keep staying, then you go to the next move or whatever it is, or you start creating a business with them. But actually your body is like this, like the dance is over. The DJ has
Yes, like that.
changed the
Yes.
music. It's a different song right now.
Oh, yes. Yes, yes,
And
yes, yes,
that's the
yes, yes,
thing.
yes.
Like 10 seconds, 10 seconds, 10 seconds. It's like a zapping culture DJ. Like and if it's a great song, sometimes it might be annoying that you kind of like like, why is it a different song? Because you've decided it's a perfect dance. So, but it's really there being aware that bodies just follow energy more than a head is usually willing to.
Yes.
And the more you get aware of that, the more you might be aware, like how we often make ourselves tired or slow or dysfunctional, non-functional, because we are just not listening to the energy, to the movement, to the dance.
Is it, can I bring something up, like what we had with you? Do you remember that at one point we were going out for dinner in Ghent, and it was totally chosen by the energy, like the time, the place, the moments. And at one point you bumped with your body to another body. Do you
Yes,
remember
that was
that?
brilliant. That was so good.
Can you tell us a bit about that?
Well, I basically bumped into the waiter, who was a very pretty guy, but I had, like, it was just a pretty guy. And then we went to pay the bills. And suddenly my body ends up to his body like this. Like, and it happened. And it was like really this, but it was so funny because it was not like, if you don't make it significant and you can just look at like, oh, I'm sorry, apparently my body just wanted to be in touch with you. And so I just asked my body, did you just want to like
Because
touch
you
the
could
guy?
easily dismiss it as like,
Oh yeah, as a wrongness. No,
Yeah,
it was like
yeah.
I
And
told, yeah, like
yeah.
it's acknowledging like how, oh wow, for everybody
It
here
was cool. Like
online.
the cool thing was that you were actually acknowledging it.
Yeah. So for all of you here online,
Yeah.
what has your body
Sorry,
been
I think
creating
there's a bit
for
of a
you?
difference.
There's a, yeah. So what has your body been creating for you that you've been dismissing because it was embarrassing, because it was hurting, because it was inconvenient? And it starts there. Like if you like there's so many people that ask for more space in their life. Oh, I would like to have a little more time for myself. And the next thing that happens is it's like it's brilliant.
Oops.
Yeah, so it starts there with acknowledging like how much your
That's
body is
yeah, and
dancing.
our bodies are actually willing to choose that for us.
They have no point of view. But if you dismiss it and you think something went wrong, how often does it take longer than it should take to heal or to change? And I have had many times that my body would fall or do stuff, and I would just ask, is this the change I've been asking for? And that was a big yes. So then I would just ask, okay, body, what do you need now to get through this change with ease? Because I didn't fail because my body was clumsy. I just fell because I had been asking a change in my body. So it's like, okay, so cool. Now who can help me with actually getting through this change? And then I would find amazing people that would just do stuff with my body where I was like, oh, are you sure? Yes. Okay, do it. Fine.
I have another cool example as well. Like, so I said like the first week in Bali, I was like so frustrated because everything was so slow, and it was like, I there's sometimes like you say like I was saying a lot of the times like, man, I'm sick of this and I'm tired of this and blah 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 blah. And at one point, I was turning sick, like really sick, sick, like flu sick. And I was texting to a friend who also plays with the tools, and at one point she says like, "Oh, what are you sick of?" And I'm like,
Oh,
"Oh!" Suddenly, my whole universe was lighting up, and I saw all. I went back to all the moments where I was telling like, "Oh, I'm sick of this. I'm sick of this, and I'm sick of this." And then at that point, I was like, "Okay, I'm stopping choosing that." And I asked my body, can we stop being sick now?" And I could perceive it stop being sick, and the next day I was already healing, and at the end of the day I was good. It was done.
yeah. Gosh, I
Like,
love that.
yeah.
Like our bodies have bigger ears than we have.
Mm.
How often do we like
Yeah.
we keep like polluting, like infecting our life with these thoughts that are not creating, and we don't even hear it. Like it's normal to think I hate this, or I'm sick of this, or I don't like this. We just tell it to ourselves, and then our bodies are there like, oh, are we? Okay, let's create something then. I'll help you change that. I'll help you manifest that.
Yeah, and that was like a really obvious example. Like it really showed me how like it made me open to look at everywhere else, that where my life is like at a certain point that I don't really like it. Like for example, I would still like to have more money in my life, and it made me like, oh my God, like how often do I have like these thoughts that I'm not even aware of that I'm having about money
Yep.
and
It's
everything
really
else,
that.
you know. Your
It's really
point of
that.
view
Start
creates your
listening.
reality.
Yeah, and it's that. It's like for everybody here online or for looking later, like start listening to your underlining points of views. Like start listening to your thoughts. Start hearing them. And then like the times that I've been like hearing myself think like crazy things, and then I would be like, how long have I been thinking this? Oh, at least like 2-3 minutes for now, at least. And that's like, wow, how can we sometimes be busy with something, not realizing it, and after 2-3 minutes suddenly realize like, ooh, that's what is that
Yes,
creating? What is
yes.
that actually creating? If you think like, I want more money, I don't have enough, I blah 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 blah, what is your thoughts creating? And so you'll start looking at what is it creating? Is it creating
Wow.
expansion, or is it actually creating a contraction? Is it creating greater, or is it actually creating destruction and debilitation? Every time we say hate, I don't like, I don't want, you're actually destructing, you're creating debilitation also in your body. So it's just a choice.
Yeah, if you start to become really aware of it, it is actually a choice. And that's the cool thing. Like once you actually start acknowledging it is a choice and you can change it, like with my body, with my sick body, it was so simple. It was so simple. Okay, we're done. I'm done with this. Can we stop being sick? And just that. It took a day,
And I love it because,
less
like,
than a
why is it
day.
so simple? Because it's a lie. It's a lie that you create. So how many lies do we actually stick in our bodies as a symptom? That if we would ask a question about it and realize, like, oh, is this real, or is this something I made real? And I made it now so real that it's showing up in my body. Then you can start changing it. But if you're not willing to
Oh,
look at whatever is underneath, and I've had many people in my classes where I ask, like, okay, is it that what's showing up in your body as a diagnosis, or is it actually something else? And you need to ask the question because maybe it is a diagnosis, but so often it was actually something totally different that showed up exactly as a hernia or exactly as one or the other disease. And it was like, oh shit, okay, I've been looking to change that for years. But if it's not that, even if it shows up in that particular thing, you will not be able to change it. You will be able to make it a little better. You will be able to tweak it a bit. And maybe like even people will tell you like, oh, it's changing, it's changing, it's changing. But is it changing, or is it actually not changing at all? And that's really the thing. Like, are you willing to step out of having a comfortable life and start living?
oh, that's a whole different conversation.
Yes, it is.
Um,
And it is one. It's an invitation for all of us too, because it's a conversation like you can have with yourself. And it's a conversation we do have with ourselves by our thoughts. But are you, like, what kind of conversation are you actually having with yourself? Oh, my body's like expelling stuff. Oh,
Thank
let's
you.
see.
I don't know how about everybody else, but for me, there's so much ease and peace right
Yeah,
now. I
I
I
love
can't
it.
even think. How does it get any better than that?
There is like Alco's
There's no
3D body class with
questions.
Yaso. It's like a jumping and a dancing and a
Yeah.
unicorn. So if you want to come and dance tomorrow in Brussels, we start at 10. I see the body is a real expanded sense organ. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So what else is
Yes.
possible? So we start dancing in Brussels, and yeah, if you want to come and
So where
dance.
else are you in the world? Where can people find you in your classes?
Ha! Well, I will be in many places actually. I will be heading to Tunisia, to New Caledonia, to Algeria, to France a few times, in Paris, in the south of France. Where else will I head to? Martinique, Mexico, Russia. So there are many, many, many places in the coming few months. You can find that on www.yasodhara with s.com.
It's a new website,
Uh,
ladies and gentlemen.
yes, it is. So there will be many places, and what else is possible? So there are also things online that you can follow, private sessions. So, and there are many classes around the world with wonderful people. So ask your body. Let's see.
Yes. And I would also like to add, like, so it started off as Body Talks, but it was so much more than Body Talks. And you do facilitate 3-day body classes, which is absolutely awesome. And you also facilitate, I would like to add that as well, because they're also very brilliant, like Talk to the Entities classes, intros and beginning classes. And there's also Right Voice for You classes. And you
Yes.
also do foundation. which is like the toolbox that you can like start creating your whole life from. Like they're all awesome classes. Um, and uh, and like you said, like you also do like SOP symphony
Of
sessions.
possibilities.
What? Sorry, help me.
Symphony of
Symphony of
possibilities.
possibilities, energy
There are
work,
many, and yes, and
which
the fun part
yeah.
is they cannot be separated.
What do you mean by that?
Well, like the more I get actually in communion with my body, the more ease it becomes with entities. Like it's almost like,
Oh,
although
yeah.
entities have no body, but like the more you are in communion, since you have chosen a body this lifetime and you still have it, the more ease that I've found actually to communicate with the entities and be in communion with them. And so it's actually like what if you never had to separate and just could ask like what's actually gonna give me what I'm asking for? And some people will
Yes,
choose
because
body
come back to your
classes.
first question.
No, no, go.
To come back to your first question, like who or what can give me the information that I'm asking for? Maybe it's an entity.
Yeah. And
Who
I have
knows?
I've had entities coming into body classes. It's like it's not one either or, because like you create, like when you choose a class, you create. Some people think like, oh, I'm going to choose that facilitator, I'm not going to choose that facilitator because I've been doing blah blah blah. But it's not only the facilitator, it's the people in the classes, it's the place where it's going to happen. Like, you know, it's the earth, it's the buildings, it's like that whole thing that is actually going to create a weekend. So if nothing is right and nothing is wrong, start looking at where the energy is actually pointing at and showing you to go. And I saw that someone is asking if you give classes in Bali, Ivy. Do you give classes in Bali?
I do not give classes in Bali. I am online present and available, but yeah, I don't have the required visas, and it's a bit of a process in Bali with this. Um,
What else
and
is
who knows?
possible?
Who knows? What else is possible? Yes, I just got it. Um, yeah, so that, and then Marlene is saying, yes, it was amazing. Yes.
I have my moments. Thank you,
And
Merlin.
yes, Merlin will be
Oh,
on definitely different conversations as well in the future. So how do you say it? Be
stay
present
tuned.
with the updates on who else. Stay tuned. Yeah.
And thank you, Ivy, so much for having this conversation and inviting people all over the world. So
It's my absolute pleasure. And I have to say, talking about entities, it's definitely different conversations. Is an entity that has been asking for such a long time to be instituted in the world by me. How did I get so lucky? And it is actually, it's my absolute honor to create with it. And it's actually definitely different conversations that is also picking the people, which is it's so much fun. It's so easy, and like it's an absolute pleasure to dance with the
yes,
rhythm.
with
Have
that entity.
definitely different conversations, and I wonder what else rhythms we can dance together, and with many different people out there in the world that have something to contribute to the world. Thank you, Yaso, for being in the world and for always expanding mine and expanding not only mine but the people and the world and everything and everyone around you. Yeah,
You're so welcome.
yeah, it's yeah.
And I hope to see you soon. The house is missing you. Ivy stays often in my house. Oh,
That's a
we're like,
different dance as well, dancing with houses.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Thank you, everybody, for
I
watching
won't be
also.
home too soon. Yes, yes, thank you, everyone. See you on the next conversation. Bye.
Bye.